Many people have asked, is the dysfunction around the Chicago Bears going to lead to some of the coaching candidates not necessarily being as willing to take the job with the Chicago Bears? Well, according to Robert Mays, we have our answer to that. We're going to take a look at that, plus dive into the mailbag, all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And so I want to start it off with this, right? Before we get into the mailbag, is that a lot of people have talked and made a lot about the dysfunction around the Chicago Bears. I almost said the perceived dysfunction around the Chicago Bears, but no, we're a dysfunctional organization. I even think the most optimistic Bears fans can admit that we have some tons of dysfunction. When you look at the, George McCaskey, when you look at, of course, Kevin Warren and the questions of what's going on with Ryan Poles and his future. Well, Robert Mays of 670 The Score, of The Athletic, was on 670 The Score. He was asked about the dysfunction around the Chicago Bears, and he said this: some of the outside dysfunction or incompetence that we've seen from the Bears, I don't necessarily know if that's as much as a detriment to the candidates for a job like this. I've talked to somebody who they are actually interviewing for the job, and I asked him point blank. I was like, if the Bears were to interview you for the head coaching job, will you take it? And he didn't even hesitate to say yes. Now, we've seen people when we're live, even Bears fans, that say, why would somebody want to come and take this job, especially versus some of the other jobs, right? And I think it comes down to coaches want the glory. Right? Coaches want to be able to say that they turned that around, and coaches also look at talent and say, hey, if I got something here, maybe I can be the one to turn it around when it comes down to that, right? And Robert Mays also points out this: Poles is not actively somebody that's going to scare people in the way Trent Ballock is. I don't think the McCaskies are people that are perceived off like Woody Johnson is, where they're the boogeyman for people who may take a job like this. So, listen, I have my frustrations with the McCaskies. I have my frustration with Ryan Poles. I have my frustrations with the place that the Bears are in. Now, if candidates are willing to come on and take on the challenge that is to correct this shit with the Chicago Bears, great. And like I said in yesterday's episode, the Bears better not hire a yes man. They should want somebody who's going to come in and be willing to ruffle the feathers. Not somebody who's just going to want to ruffle the feathers just to shake some shit up and shake the table, but to do so if it's needed, and that's what's needed to get the damn job done and turn this franchise around. And so I'm glad to hear this. Right now, of course, we got to see if it's going to be in reality. Everybody's just kind of speculating on what they think the situation is, even though Robert Mays does say he talked to somebody that the Bears are interviewing. But I think it's one of those situations that more people will be willing to believe it once they see it. Once they see a coaching candidate that they believe in coming into here and starting to turn some things around, once they actually see that with their eyes, I think they'll be more apt and likely to really to believe that the Bears are really ready to start changing some of the perception that they have earned around the league. I want to make sure I say that, because everything that the Bears have as far as doubt, pessimism, everything, it's earned. And so I think that's a big part in all of this. And so let's see, right? I think overall, I just want to see this team win. That's all I want to do. I want to see my franchise win. I want to see my franchise be getting ready to play football now in the middle of January rather than sitting our asses at home. I would love to see all of that. So whether it takes Mike Vrabel, whether it takes Jaylon Johnson, whether it takes Brian Flores, whether it takes Pete Carroll, whoever it takes to get us there, just get us there, right? That's at the place that I'm in. Not to say that I'm willing to just take any candidate to for whatever. I do want somebody who's going to build. I want somebody who's going to bring some things to the table, and we'll see what that's going to be, right? And we're hearing all types of things, right? Now we're hearing Todd Monken is more of a sleeper to get the Bears role than people previously thought. On top of Vrabel and Ben Johnson being the favorites. And listen, I've told you guys before, there's going to be a lot of back and forth in regards to the rumors on what the Chicago Bears will or won't do leading into this situation in this coaching search. But when it all comes down to it, everything's going to be told on the football field. If the Bears got the right guy, that's going to be able to be told. We're going to see that, especially with considering how this franchise has been run for so long. So whoever it takes to get the job done, let's get the job done. And I think that's the place that I'm in right now, right? So, yes, there is dysfunction around the Bears. Yes, the Bears are looked at as a franchise. They can't get it right. Hell, that's by me. I would talk about this team every single day for over 900 days straight. I've talked about this football team, right? So it comes down to that. Can the Bears get it done? I have some faith. I have some trepidation. I have the ride gamut of emotions when it comes down to it. But I'll say this. I know that it's looked at that the Bears may be doing too much with the number of people that they interview, but I tell you what, with the Bears and the way that they have been apt at times to just interview and go with their first option, the first person they interview, I'm liking that they're going and doing a wide search personally. How you guys feel about it is how you guys feel about it, and you have the right to that feeling and to that opinion. But overall, I just want to see the Bears get it right. That's just really what I want to see. Listen, I wear Bears attire every day at some point in the day. I just want to see my team win. Is that too much to ask? Am I that bad of a person to where I don't deserve to see my football team win some football games? Right? That's all we want to see. That's all most Bears fans want to see. Our football team to look like a competent franchise and to get some shit done that it seems like every other team in the league and in the NFC North is able to get done. Do you know how the Detroit Lions were looked at a decade ago? You look at that, right? Look at how they're looked at now, right? I would love to be that guy, to be able to say that my team has turned it around, right? So let's hope that that's the case. Let's hope that we can get it done. And we just got to keep going through the process, no matter how many more candidates. I'm sure they just scheduled 15 more interviews. End up getting the interview, and let's just get it done. But guys, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that, man. But let's go ahead and get into these voicemails, man. This first voicemail we got, this one's from Darius.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas again. I know I'm calling a lot this week, but I got one more thing I want to say about the head coaching candidate, and I wonder why nobody is talking about Mike Zimmer as a possibility. Because we're talking about coordinators to bring in that have proven leadership of being a head coach. I mean, he was in our division. He knows the division well. I'm just looking at the basic stats on him here. He's got, 8 years of head coaching experience. That's 8 years, man. I'll take that. He won the NFC North twice, made the playoffs 3 times, advanced to the NFC Championship 2017, had a top 10 scoring defense 5 times, and had a top 5 defense in terms of fewest yards allowed 3 times out of those years. His record's 72-56 with a .562 winning percentage. Playoff record, he's 2-3. I mean, guys, this is a guy that knows how to run an organization, and he knows how to run a team in our division. He's familiar with how teams in our division play. He knows how to win in that division, I feel like, and I think coming back to the division will give him a fresh outlook. I think he'll improve on some things that he missed out on with the Vikings. For one, with the Vikings, he had an aging quarterback that was injury prone a lot. And I think a lot of his lack of playoff success, in my opinion, is due to Kirk Cousins. Cause Kirk Cousins just flat out does not have good, playoff success. He's a Dak Prescott of the NFC, North. Good regular season stat, but we know when Kirk Cousins gets to the playoffs, he lays an egg every time. And I don't think that Zimmer had as much offensive talent to work with in his time there as the Minnesota Vikings have now. So I know that he didn't really have as good of a year defensively with the Cowboys as was expected, but it's been proven that this guy can build championship defenses, man. And as long as he gets the coordinator right, I think we'll be good to go, man. I think he's a good candidate that nobody's talking about, and I'd like for them to at least give him an interview. But let me know what y'all think about that, man. Texas up there now.
Why is no one talking about Mike Zimmer? I mean, great question, Darius. He'll be my response to this. I think we can't assume that everybody wants to be a head coach. Mike Zimmer has had some success as a head coach. He has a record of 56 win percentage. But I think sometimes you got to remember that some coaches, after being a head coach and after seeing, like you said, the things that they've seen, sometimes they actually appreciate just being a defensive coordinator. And I think also you may have to look at the fact that who's to say that maybe Zimmer is not in line to take over as the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys if Mike McCarthy does move on, right? There's all types of questions with that. So I don't know, like, and again, I get it that you're trying to think outside the box, but I think the Bears have made it known who their candidates are. Now, with the way that they're adding candidates, Mike Zimmer maybe could be somebody that they do add if they, maybe they do add him as a part of the process when they continue these interviews, things like that. But I think overall, like, when it comes down to it, like, we just can't assume that everybody wants to become a head coach. Again, right? Some people have seen that process. They've seen that shit show, and they just say, hey, you know what? I appreciate just being a defensive coordinator. I appreciate just being a guy who comes in and just gets to focus on just this aspect and let somebody else deal with the totality, deal with the front office, deal with the owners, deal with all that. Let me just come in here and coach some defense. I think that there could be a possibility of that. Am I saying for sure? No. But I'm not saying that Mike Zimmer could be a bad case, either a bad candidate for a head coach because he had some success. Now, he is still another op. You know how I feel about ops, but nonetheless, I think overall, like, you're right, he has had some success. He finished first in the NFC North twice in his tenure there with the Minnesota Vikings, but I also think we can't just say, well, he knows the division. Like, the division changes. This division is not the same that it was even when he coached he was the last year he was a head coach in Minnesota in 2021. A lot has changed in this division since then, a lot. So we can't just assume that he's just going to be able, because of prior success, walk in and have success in the division still because he had success before. But I think overall, any of that, right? Because a lot of the candidates, you cannot guarantee success with any of these candidates. But I think we can't just assume that he's even open to becoming a head coach because maybe, like I said, maybe he just appreciates sitting his ass down, or not sitting down, but just focusing on being a defensive coordinator. There is that aspect of it too. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. All right, let's get into the next voicemail. This one's for Maddie Legend.
Yo, what up, Hayes? Yo, what up, Bobby? What up, C-Dub? It's Mighty Legend. Yeah, I was just calling after I watched that Lions and Vikings game. It's basically, the Ben Johnson versus Brian Flores game. And if you ask me, I think we all know who just won that battle. But, yeah, I really don't want either one of them. Truthfully, I prefer Mike Vrabel. But I just want to throw that out there just so we can see, like, yeah, man. That's, Ben Johnson just won that one. Anyway, so I was just thinking about, the off season or whatever, and after watching that last game, I think it's time for us to get rid, because it looked like to me Stevenson and Smith, they can handle it. They can hold it down. I know they ain't Pro Bowlers or nothing like that, but Stevenson got enough balls thrown his way, pause, to have the experience to hold it down at that number one position. And Smith looked like he a dog. So and with our safeties and coverage linebackers, because they damn sure can't stop the run. Yeah, with our coverage linebackers, I feel like that we will be good with what we got, and we can get some good trade compensation for Jaylon Johnson. So let me know what y'all think. All right.
Vrabel over Flores and Ben Johnson. I mean, listen, here's the thing, and I've said it before. I can make a case for just about any and all of these candidates, right? I know enough about football. I am aware enough about football to make a case for just about most of them, right? I'll say most of them. Flores, Ben Johnson, Vrabel, everybody who has their own favorite candidate in this, fine. That's great. That's what you're supposed to have, right? That I think when it comes down to it, like because you can make that case, it just comes down to what pitch they give the Bears, what it comes down to, what the vision that they have for this team, for the offense, for the defense, all those type of things. But listen, I'm not mad at Mike Vrabel at all. Like I've said it before, I am not. If the Bears end up getting him, I'm not mad at it. I will have questions. How do you fill out your staff? Who's going to be your OC? Who's going to be your DC? What do you do for it? What's going to be the system? How does the defense change? But those questions stay the same for anybody, no matter who's taking over as the head coach. So, again, he has just as good of a chance, and I like hearing that him and Ben Johnson right now are the favorites to land the job. For whoever believes that. That's from Diana Rossini from The Athletic, and we'll see where that goes. Now, as far as getting rid of Jaylon Johnson, I think that people start thinking too much into things and thinking into, we can get this trade. Listen, Stevenson and Smith are great, but they have not shown the ability to be a Jaylon Johnson. They've not shown an ability to shut down the side of the field. Yes, his season did end rough, and he does have rough patches. But Jaylon Johnson, if you look at statistically, grading out how it's been for him basically his whole career, Tyreek Stevenson and Smith don't come close to sniffing the consistency that Jaylon Johnson has had. And why do we want to take away right? That we're trying to get to a place. We have more than enough assets to add to this team. It'd be different if we didn't have draft capital or if we didn't have a cap space. We got the 5th most cap space in the league and a ton of draft picks. We don't have to give up talent to add to this team. At this point, we want to keep adding to this team so that we can keep getting better. I don't understand that you're like the second person who's called in and said something about trading Jaylon Johnson. And I, for the life of me, don't understand why we would want to move on from somebody, right, at this point when they're on a reasonable deal, right? We're not strapped for cash at this point in time. Why do we want to move on from somebody as we're trying to build this thing and get out of the bottom of the NFC North? I don't mean to come at your opinion. I don't mean, like, I'm not trying to come down at you hard or anything like that. It's just, I just don't understand that thinking and thought. Do we want to win football games? Do we want to make the playoffs? Do we want eventually to be right along with everybody else in the NFC North? Why would we give up somebody that has the potential to be so good and such an important part of our defense? I don't see that. I don't understand. I'd more rather get rid of Tremaine Edmonds than get rid of Jaylon Johnson at this point. And especially if we do move what I hope that we're going to do to a more man coverage than cover 2 zone, I think Jaylon Johnson is actually going to thrive in that a little bit more. So that's my opinion. You guys can let me know how you feel down below. All right, let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from Brad.
What's going on, gentlemen? This your boy Brad from the Bay Area by way of Chicago. Happy New Year to everybody. I just want to say thank y'all for doing the good work and getting the word out on a daily basis about our Chicago Bears, whether it be good or bad. Obviously, it's been mostly bad, but hey, it's a new year, and hopefully we have a better season upon us. But hey, I just wanted to touch on something. And I know, Hayes, you said that you wasn't going to do a prediction video, but of course I got my hands on the home and away opponents. And I know you looked at it yourself and in your silence said, this a L, that's a W, this a L. And I know it's premature, but I'm looking at this schedule for 2025 and it's not going to be easy based on our roster as it is today. Now, I know that's going to change, hopefully, with some draft picks and some free agency acquisitions and just overall some players maturing and growing and hopefully getting better. But, bruh, I'm looking at this like this going to be maybe a 7-win season based on the roster as I see it today, because we played the Lions twice, Green Bay twice, Vikings twice. I'm saying we'll be lucky if we split them games. I mean, we almost did this year, but next year is going to be even tougher. We going to get the L against 49ers, maybe Washington again because they going to get better, the Ravens and the Eagles. Everything is up in the air as far as the Cowboys, Giants, Saints, Browns, Steelers, Bengals, and Raiders. So them 50-50 games is going to be what the GM does, what the new head coach, what influence the head coach has on this roster, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We got to get a good head coach. We might not get Ben Johnson. It looked like Vrabel was just doing lip service of having that interview, knowing his ass is going to New England. But these no-name dudes that Ryan Poles talking about, we gonna be surprised when we see the names. I don't want to be fucking surprised. I don't want to be surprised. I want the best, well-known coaching candidate possible. I don't want these pie in the sky played at Acorn State as the assistant.
Listen, Brad, don't assume anything about me. Don't assume just because I don't talk about stuff that I what I feel. Actually, I look at it like we already knew we were going to play everybody in NFC North 2 times each. That's not a shock. Yes, the schedule was tough, but guess what? I mean, we were supposed to have one of the easiest schedules in the league this year, and it went to shit. So I'm not going to judge anything based off a schedule yet until we know who the head coach is going to be, until we know what the roster is going to be. There's no point in worrying about it, right? Because you don't know how injuries are going to play a part. You don't know who's going to step up, who's going to develop. It's way too early to be worried about the strength of schedule. You got to face who's in front of you, right? And rather than however the schedule is going, we need to improve this team. We need better coaching. We need a better offensive line. We need to get the trenches together. We need to be able to get the quarterbacks more. We need to be able to stop the run game. Like, all that stuff is true no matter how difficult our schedule is. Hell, we lost against opponents we were supposed to be favored against. So I'm not worried about any strength of schedule quite yet. Now, it's going to get there, right? But let's see how the roster is going to shake out. Hell, let's know who's going to coach this team first before we start worrying about what the schedule is or is not, right? And how that coach could possibly elevate this team. Those are the things that we need to worry about first before we start worrying about the schedule when the season just ended and we don't even have a coach in place. Schedule's going to be tough either way for the Chicago Bears because we got to prove it. We have not proved it the last couple of years. We got to prove it. So anything is tough. Well, listen, I'll give my thoughts on the schedule as we get closer to the season. All right, let's get into the next voicemail, man. This one's from Marcus.
What's up, Shot Bear Central? This is Marcus calling in. Something I've been thinking about for the past couple of days. There's a direction that I feel the Bears could head in that while it's not my first choice, or wouldn't be my first choice, it's something I would be upset about. And I feel like it could potentially be that Bears blunder that actually ends up working out for them in the long run. That's Pete Carroll, head coach. Now, for me personally, I feel like there's a couple names that the Bears are going to ruin and snatch up off like it. Vrabel, I feel like he's already gone. The Bears are interviewing way too many people, in my opinion. I get casting a broad net. I get, wanting to do your homework but there's guys that are on this list that realistically we know we're not hiring Kafka over Vrabel, over Ben Johnson. Like, those are some of the guys that I feel like we're wasting time with. And there are guys like Vrabel who he's going to have a job no matter what. So, another team like, say, the Patriots, they've just finished their interview earlier today. They're not going to waste time. If they feel like, hey, this is the guy we want, they're going to pull the trigger. And the Bears are not, because they're still pussyfooting around with a bunch of other candidates that they know they're not going to hire. They're wanting to do their due diligence on 37,000 people, and that just makes no sense to me. But so I feel like Vrabel's somebody who we can take off the board. I feel like as far as some of these first year head coaches, a Ben Johnson or some of the others, I feel like we're going to deter some of them just by the whole poll situation, the timeline that's going on with them. Is he extended? Is he not? And I know they'll discuss that in their own, private conversations, but I still feel like there's going to be some legit concern from some of the first year potential head coaches that don't want to risk marrying up with that. And then if this is their one shot, now all of a sudden they've, kind of squandered that because, it didn't work out with polls or whatever the case. And that's where I feel like, Pete Carroll coming in, he doesn't have that mindset. And I'm sitting here driving past these, fuck the Packers, because I'm sorry, I just seen Packers. Yeah, no, anyway, Pete Carroll coming in, I feel like he knows how to win. The Bears don't. He can start establishing and teaching that culture, and I feel like that also just gives the opportunity for a Thomas Brown to be brought back potentially as an offensive coordinator. Now, I feel like he has some qualities that could make a good head coach one day, not right now. However, I do feel like he's at least earned the opportunity to show what he can do as a full-time offensive coordinator because the Bears offense looked good while he was in that role, and that wasn't even while he was running his offense. I do feel like he deserves an opportunity, and he said in his interview that he would have the offense looking completely different. I'd like to see what that is, and if he can do that under Pete Carroll, then maybe, who knows, after a couple of years, he might be able to, at that point, be ready to take that next step and being a head coach and just continuing to work.
Pete Carroll as head coach, I've said it before. When you look at the resume of Pete Carroll, it's hard to find, I'm not going to say the faults, but he has one of the best resumes of any head coach possible, right? That's why he's not only interviewing for the Chicago Bears head coaching position, because Pete Carroll, he gets it done. He establishes a system. He knows how to develop players. I think he's going to pick his coordinators right that's going to work with him well, right? All those things are true about Pete Carroll. He's done it in college. He's done it in the NFL, right? So all those things are going to be there. Pete Carroll is a really good head coaching candidate. And I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to whatever the Bears' vision is. Now, as I pointed out in yesterday's last night's live stream, is that the Bears have only ever hired one head coach with coaching experience, right? One person coming from a head coaching role. That was John Fox. We typically hire assistants. Now, I hope that they do something different as far as just get the right guy. I don't give a damn who it is as long as they end up being the right guy. But Pete Carroll has as good of a case as any to be that guy. We just got to see if he's going to do it. And let's hope that he can, man. Let's hope that he can. As far as Thomas Brown being brought back as OC, like I said before, I think that the head coach gets the right to – I want them to pick their staff. Now, if you do hire an offensive-minded head coach that is going to call plays and looks at Thomas Brown as maybe somebody that they can groom, maybe somebody that because of their relationship with Caleb Williams can help that learning curve, cool, great, right? If it is a Pete Carroll that comes in and he looks at, and then we're grooming Thomas Brown, then to be the next head coach, cool, right? I'm not mad at the potential of Thomas Brown being the next OC. I think that per the thing that you said, he didn't have his own offensive system, right? He was just coming in, using what was already there, trying to get the most out of it, and we'll see what he can bring as an OC. I think all those things are true, right? So I'm not mad at the potential of Thomas Brown being an OC still with the Chicago Bears next season, but I'm going to say that I don't want the Bears to push anybody on the next head coach. I want the next head coach to pick their guy. That's what I want to happen. And let's hope that that thus then gets the best out of the situation in full. All right, let's get into the next voicemail, man. This one is from Fred.
Hey, yo, Hayes, what up, man? It's your boy Fred, man. Man, I had watched that game Sunday, and don't get me wrong, there was some things I like how they played the Packers. But my thing is the way they were celebrating. These assholes was out there celebrating like they won a Super Bowl or NFC Championship game or something, man. I wouldn't even been out there celebrating just for the simple fact the way they record is, man. Like, y'all, okay, yeah, that's good you ended the 10-game losing streak. But the record should have been the opposite, though. Now, I'm glad that the Cowgirls denied us interviewing Mike McCarthy, because like you said, who the hell want an op? We done dealt with some of the op. We already got an op on the team now. That's with trash and coverage anyway. But I'm glad the Bears going hard in this coaching search, because we all know as Bears fans, these assholes never take their time. They always go get a nobody we never heard of, and then the team don't know what amounts to anything. And George McCaskey, yeah, he should respond to the fans selling the team, because you have gave us nothing but pure trashness. You know what I'm saying? Since he's been an owner. And then you up here listening to Bill Polian. Why are you up here listening to Bill Polian? Bill Polian is trash. Like, let Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren do their job. Because it sounds like to me that he can't, trust them too. And if you can't trust them, then why do you have them on your staff? Like, it makes no sense, man. Like, I know, like, y'all probably think I'm sounding like I'm mad, but yeah, I'm kind of mad. Like, this dumbass George McCaskey always constantly want to take advice from Bill Polian. You took advice from Bill Polian, hired Eberflus and shit. That didn't make no sense, man. But I'm hoping the Bears do land a good head coach that can help with this team, turn the coach around, have the players be more disciplined, and hold the players, accountable for their actions. And this offseason, I hope they go hard as far as, like, free agency and in the draft as well, too, getting that damn O-line together. Because who the hell want to keep seeing this shit, and you got a rookie quarterback that you just drafted going into his first year now? Like, they got to get their shit together, man. So I'm just waiting to see what they're going to do this offseason. George McCaskey, dumbass, just need to stop talking to the media and stay after the camera, because he don't know shit about football. Like, honestly. So, with that being said, man, let me know what you think, big dog, because the goddamn Bears, they just got to get their shit together, man. Bottom line. Because it's going to get to the point of, man, we're going to stop supporting them until we show them what the hell we mean. So, yeah, holla at me, man. Chicago up, they're all the way down, man, until we get our shit together.
First of all, Fred, I know you've seen my passionate rant. I've gone off. McCaskey just frustrates me. Just overall, like, just being honest with myself and where I am as a person, George McCaskey just frustrates me. Right, and that's just my own personal thing. It is his team. He has the right to sit in. He has the right to have a say. He's the owner. All those things are technically right. But, like, for somebody who has admitted that they don't have the football IQ, why do you want to be involved so much? Right? Hire people that you trust to do the job. If they do the job, let them do the job. If they don't do the job, fire them. Right? Like, it should be just that simple. Not every owner in the NFL has this wealth of football knowledge. It's just not the case. Most NFL owners are businessmen. Right? So they understand how to operate a business, and they get people to handle the football operations that are smart football people. Right? And so we'll see if that ends up continuing to being the case. But, like, McCaskey, especially Bill Polian, oh my Jesus. I'm so tired of hearing that name. I'm so tired of hearing that name. And we haven't even heard it that much. But no. Overall, this is the thing that I hope, is that coming out of this coaching search, that we get the right guy. And I know I say that a lot, but that is really where I'm at right now. That is my biggest hope. Let's get the right guy. And hopefully through doing that and getting the right guy, the Bears finally start finding that success that we've all wanted to see from this team for years. That's my thought. That's my hope. Thank you for leaving that voicemail. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.